And we are recording.
Hi, I'm Sarah Gillis.
My name is Natalee.
And I'm Annie Bova.
The three cases we studied were of shootings that have recently been seen in the media: the Virginia Tech massacre, the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting, and the Chardon High School shooting. All three of these events seem unforgivable, but after analyzing, we came to realize that each victim's family has to go through a long process of healing. We believe that in order for one to forgive such an act, it depends on the person's perspective of what happened and how it involved them. In our three cases, only one of the shooters had a mental disorder. Whether or not this was a factor for the victim's family's decision to forgive the shooter or not is unknown. On the morning of April 16, 2007, at 7:15, in a Virginia Tech dorm building, 2 people were shot and killed. The shooter then disappeared for over 2 hours. The shooter then reappeared at 9 a.m. in Norris Hall. The shooter chained the 3 main entrance doors and put notes on the door saying that if they were opened, a bomb would go off. The shooter made his way to the 2nd floor and looked in a few classroom windows. Finally, the shooter walked into classroom 206 and opened fire. The shooter killed the professor first and started shooting the students. The shooter did the same in classrooms 204, 207, and 211. The professor in 211 held the door closed while his students jumped out the window, but was then shot through the door. All but one of his students lived. 32 people were killed and 23 wounded before the shooter took his own life. You are probably asking yourself, how can someone commit such a crime? It's hard to imagine someone doing something so horrific. A few days after the massacre, it was released that the shooter had a mental disorder. Does knowing this make the forgiving process easier? Does having a mental disorder excuse such an act? Only victims and victims' family members can answer these questions. For one of the victims' families, they still look to their loved one for guidance. The family of the victim, Mary Reed, found her journal with tons of quotes about forgiveness. Some of these quotes included, "Forgiving is not forgetting, it's letting go of the hurt. To forgive is the highest, most beautiful form of love. In return, you receive untold peace and happiness. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does enlarge the future." I think being able to read the words of their daughter wrote about this gave the family a good start towards forgiving and healing and closure.
I did my research on the Chardon school shooting case. This happened a little over a year ago on February 27, 2012. A boy named TJ Lane walked into the Chardon school's cafeteria about 7:30, right before school started, and started randomly shooting at students. He shot 10 rounds of ammunition, and he ended up killing 3 of his classmates. During his court trial, he acted in an unacceptable manner, and he wore a t-shirt with the word killer written across it in permanent marker. And during the whole trial, he kind of had like a look on his face that just like said he didn't want to be forgiven, and just like a little smirk. And he did inappropriate gestures towards the family of the victims. And after he did an inappropriate gesture, one of the prosecutors said that he was a disgusting human being. I believe that a person's actions after a crime they committed determines if they should be forgiven or not, and his actions after the crime kind of clearly said that he didn't want forgiveness and he wasn't looking for forgiveness. And I do believe in second chances, and I think his second chance was during his trial, and I think he kind of just closed that door for us to forgive him. And me personally, I would not be able to forgive him, but would you be able to?
Alright, I did the Colorado theater shooting, and it happened in July last summer, 2012. Man walked in named James Holmes, walked into the theater at the midnight premiere, of Batman Dark Knight Rises, and he opened fire, killing, I believe, 12 people, injuring 59, and he had his hair colored as the Joker because he was trying to, like, when people would see him, they just thought, oh, it's just a teaser for the movie. But he came in opening, firing a lot of ammunition, killing 12 people, and also the bullets went through the wall and killing other people that were in the adjacent theaters. He colored his hair red to act as a Joker because he wanted to prove to himself that he was actually a villain. And he was charged with 166 counts of first-degree murder, which means premeditated. And the prosecutor stated that he did, in fact, plan this months in advance to the shooting. And he was actually convicted of 24 counts of first-degree murder. And one of the victim's best friends said that he would have a front row ticket to see him executed if it would happen. But he pled for insanity, but he was denied, and so he was just charged with life in prison, no parole. But the statement that the best friend made proves that it's too soon to forgive. Everyone goes through stages when a loved one is lost, and there's stages of healing that you have to go through. Denial, coping, and all that. And it could take years. So I believe that before you forgive someone, you have to go through all the stages of healing first, so you can clear yourself of all that baggage, and that'll allow you to forgive easier. This is a picture of the family members whose loved ones were lost in the shooting. And right here is a picture of James Holmes with his hair still dyed as a Joker in the classroom. I mean, the courtroom. And, my bad. And they said that through the whole entire trial, he had a vacant look, very empty, very emotionless, didn't react to what the families had to say. So that just shows that, like, he has no soul if he's emotionless of what he did. And this is just like the memorial thing with the black ribbon showing death and the Batman symbol. Okay. In conclusion, we presented 3 crimes that are very similar but involve different criteria. The Virginia Tech shooter did in fact have a mental disorder, and the other shooters did not, even though they pled insanity, but they were denied. So we propose a question: is it easier to forgive a killer that has a mental disorder versus one who does not? And based on our research, we found that more people thought it to be easier to forgive murderers with mental disorders, but others believe that those with that extreme of a mental disorder that can lead them to killing other people shouldn't even be allowed on the street, should be in a mental facility or whatever, and shouldn't be on the streets, but they shouldn't even be allowed near a campus or any public area if they have a chance to cause harm upon people. Any questions?